Going to go ahead and get started. It's 6:30 Central Time. So just want to say thank you to everybody for taking the time out of your busy schedules to talk tonight. And we are going to focus this particular leadership meeting on powerlifting. So if you're here for, just a monthly meeting, but don't do powerlifting, feel free to go ahead and leave the meeting. This is what we're focused on today. But certainly you're welcome to stay on and learn kind of what we're doing this year in powerlifting if this is a sport that you're interested in doing in the future. So for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Nate Parks, Vice President of Program of Special Olympics Nebraska. And I thought it would be important with just, everything that goes into powerlifting that we meet now and kind of talk through some things so that we're prepared for our competition in December. So this year we do have our event scheduled that second weekend of December. And I appreciate your patience and, with us not knowing throughout the course of the year, how big this event would be exactly. We sent out a survey earlier this year to try to gauge interest, and we had a lot of interest in powerlifting. And I've had several conversations with, potential new delegations, and it was really hard to know, who would add the sport. And so last year, we did powerlifting in December for the first time. Previously, it was part of our summer games in May. And we had around 46, 47 total lifters last year, and which was fairly close to what we were pre-COVID, but a little low. And then this year we have 64 total lifters. So we've seen, a little bit of improvement in terms of growth and that kind of thing. So that's exciting. It also makes our event a little more challenging. And so I kind of want to talk through kind of our, our reasoning for, what we're doing this year. So out of those 64 total lifters, not everyone is doing every single event, so some of our new people are, maybe doing 2 of the 3 or something like that, just so they can get used to things. So I'm going to kind of run through some numbers for you here. So this year we have 2 females doing the squat. We have 17 females doing bench compared to 10 last year. We have 17 females doing the deadlift compared to 10 last year. We have 32 males doing squat compared to 20 last year. We have 42 males doing 42 males doing bench compared to 30 last year. And we have 42 males doing the deadlift compared to 32 last year. So you can see that there is some growth there, and that's exciting. I appreciate all of you for taking the time and the effort to add this as a sport if you weren't doing it previously. And for those of you that have been, for continuing and helping new athletes, take this on, because this is a sport that has so many benefits. Just the training, the time that people put forward to get in shape. And I'm hearing lots of great things about how people are practicing and kind of doing things, compared to how maybe we used to be. So it's exciting. So this year, the big question was, should we make this a 1-day event or a 2-day event? And it was really difficult to know, because you just don't know who's going to actually register for the competition based on, different conversations. As coaches would say, or HODs would say, well, we're interested in doing it, but I have to find a coach, or we have to find a place to practice, or, things like that. So in the end, 64 total lifters, 9 different delegations are participating. Dave and I sat down and we kind of looked at, what we did last year. And we tried to estimate potential time that it would take to complete the event. And even with the growth, we felt like we could get this done in 1 day if we made a couple of adjustments. So one thing that we will do differently this year is we're going to do the weigh-ins on Friday evening. And so you'll come Friday evening, and I'll be in touch with each individual delegation to schedule your time. It'll be sometime between 5 and 8 p.m. Friday evening. And I believe that's December 9th, if I remember correctly off the top of my head here. So, December 8th is the Friday, December 9th is the Saturday competition. So December 8th, Friday, December 8th, we'll schedule in 20-minute intervals, teams to come in and get their weights done and to provide your first attempt for each individual lifter. Okay. So the teams that are coming in from out of town, I called a few of you today and we talked separately already. We'll get you closer to 8 o'clock so you have time to get here. Those of you that are closer to Omaha or in town, will get you closer to 5 o'clock. So I'll give you a call. we'll discuss that, and we'll pencil you in for a specific time slot so we can get that done. And what that allows for us to do is any redivisioning or anything that we need to do as we're putting information into the computer, we can do that on Friday so it doesn't hold us up on Saturday. Last year, we were scheduled to start at 9 a.m. We started at about 9:40. And a big part of that was due to us getting a lot of different information that morning compared to what was sent in during registration. So we had individuals that their body weight was much different than what was sent in, or their attempts were different. And so we had to move some things around, and that took some time. So if we can make sure that that's done the night before, we should be ready to go right away on time, 9 o'clock in the morning, to lift. And we will open the doors at 8 a.m. for all athletes that are participating, and their families, coaches, everyone just come in at 8. We will arrive a little bit before that, so we're prepared when everybody arrives. But at 8 a.m., and that way there's ample time to warm up. There will be a coaches meeting at 8:30 a.m., followed by an opening ceremony at 8:45, and then we will begin the squat at 9 a.m. Okay. So right now, Dave Demian, our sport and competition director, is doing the divisioning. He's putting everything together. So we'll be in touch in the near future with flight information and kind of who's scheduled when. There may be athletes that don't need to be there in the first thing in the morning. And we'll try to schedule it in a way so that there's not, too much time in between each individual's lifts, so that they're not sitting around getting cold, things like that. Now, I will say this, it's going to be a long day. And I think it's important that we all embrace that and understand that. Dave and I did some math even this afternoon, and we kind of have estimated, and again, this is an estimate, this can change, but we are estimating that we believe that if we're efficient and we're on time and we have the flow and everybody's doing what they should be doing, we can finish the competition in about 8 hours. Now, we know that sometimes things go a little longer than we think, or athletes, move a little slower, or, maybe something comes up that's unforeseen. On average, each attempt should take about 1 minute, theoretically, right? So if you've got 30 lifters, say, doing an event and they have 3 attempts, that should be 90 minutes. Sometimes things go a little faster, depending on, the athlete, or maybe changing the weights, things like that. Sometimes it maybe goes a little slower. So we will see how that goes, but that's kind of my hope. And really what I need from all of you is help in making that happen. So this year we are asking that all athletes and coaches that are not competing at that moment stay in the warm-up room and are not in the competition room. Okay. And we will have a TV in there. We will stream the event so they can still watch it on the screen and kind of see their friends or see, other teams compete. And we'll have an opportunity for those that aren't there to watch it as well, because it'll be on Facebook Live. That way, they know what's going on. And part of the reason we're doing that is for the efficiency and the flow, and to make sure that athletes are warming up and prepared. But part of it too is to make sure that that competition area is not overcrowded, and that spectators can sit down in front and kind of see what's going on. Last year, we had a lot of athletes that kind of just parked themselves right in the front. And, that gets in the way for parents and spectators to be able to see. It is a tight space, but we did make a few minor adjustments that I think will help. The screen is now up on the wall, and the projector will be up high, so we won't have to put tables down below in that particular area right in front of the spectators to show, what flight and what's going on and that type of thing. So hopefully some of the little things will help. We'll have a curtain behind the platform where the athletes that are about to go will be behind, and they'll be ready to just come right out. And then they can lift. We have our announcer, we have our key volunteers. They are getting our officials, which are all certified. So we have people that know what they're doing, and we'll be rotating volunteers in and out throughout the day, people that are used to changing weights and used to these kind of events. So hopefully if we can be really efficient, and coaches can do a good job of paying attention to who's up and who's up when, and we keep that flow going, theoretically, we should be able to get things done in a reasonable amount of time. In the future, as we continue to grow, obviously we're going to grow out of that space. We're going to grow out of a one-day competition. And so we just kind of have to take it year by year and kind of see how things go. Part of our, reasoning with trying to get this done in one day as opposed to 2 is if you go a second day, you have to pay for the facility a second day. You have to bring volunteers and officials and judges and all those key people back a second day. You have to potentially stay the night, an extra night in Omaha, and pay for hotels and things like that for athletes and their families. And so we were trying to ease the burden on all of those folks by just trying to get this done and knock it out. But certainly be evaluating all of that as the event goes on. We'll need input and feedback on how things can continue to improve. But as those of you that aren't familiar with the facility, get used to kind of, what I'm talking about. You see it in person. We'll discuss it that morning. We'll have a flow. We'll make sure that, we're going to need help, but we'll make sure that everybody's where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. Okay. As far as the weigh-ins go, if someone wants privacy, we'll make sure there is a scale in the bathroom, and so someone can go in there if need be. Dave Demian, our sport and competition director, will be there for the weigh-ins, and he'll have his computer, he'll have everything ready to be inputted, and he will provide that to Tina, who's the lead volunteer that runs the computer. One of our coaches, Mike Sissel, is also a big help and a lead volunteer for our event, so he will make sure that we have, if we need a new rack height, like we'll use rack heights from last year when we can, but if we need something new or we have a new lifter, we'll make sure we have that information. So we'll just make sure that we have everything we need Friday night, so that Saturday morning when the person arrives to go, we're ready to go. And like I said, if they need privacy, they want to be in the bathroom or, away as they get weighed, that's fine. We'll make sure that that's possible. Okay. Any questions so far?
Nate, I've got a question. You said, so you're gonna do the divisioning before, right? And then after the weigh-ins, you might have to redivision. How quickly will you get that out to the coaches so they can let athletes know what time to arrive?
Excuse me. If we have to redivision, we'll provide that information on Friday night. It may not affect their arrival time, but hopefully those changes are minimal. As long as those weights aren't drastically different, those changes should be minimal. Like I said, last year we did see some pretty significant changes. Now, I'm well aware that in 4 weeks' time, people can improve. They can lift more, they can get more comfortable, especially if someone's inexperienced and, they're just starting to get the hang of things. So we are aware that sometimes things can change. But we shouldn't see, a body weight change by 30 pounds in, 4 weeks or what have you. So hopefully the information that you have provided right now, you feel good about. But if there are anything, we'll get that out Friday night, but hopefully it won't drastically impact a person's day come Saturday.
Well, will the initial divisioning come out ahead of that then, so that
Yes.
coaches have a chance? Okay.
Yeah, we hope to have that done tomorrow. I'm not going to promise exactly when it's going to get sent out. Dave's kind of going through it, and then he'll usually send it to me, and I'll kind of look through it, and then we just kind of double check each other and things like that. We are divisioning based off of weight class, gender, and age. We are not using the IPF formula for divisioning this year. Big Iron Gym, who obviously hosts the event and runs it, they like to provide some awards, and just different things that they like to do. And so they will use that formula in part to help determine, kind of their lifter of the day and that kind of thing. And they'll talk about that. And that's separate from what we generally provide. Obviously, we're providing, gold medals, silver medals, bronze medals, and things for our athletes. Our divisions will all be either 3 or 4 deep for this competition. We generally don't go any deeper than 4 when it comes to powerlifting. It just kind of depends on the numbers, and one thing to keep in mind for those of you that liked the formula when we were doing that, it did help level the playing field when you had 2 people in the same weight class that were drastically different in terms of performance. And so if somebody weighs, let's just say, 100 kilos and somebody else weighs 100 kilos and, their opening attempts are, 80 kilos different, unfortunately, that's the division that they may be in. But that formula will probably be used for those awards that they're going to do, which is nice. So some people like just to go off weight class. Some people like the formula. It just depends on who you are. But we're not using the formula this year because of the numbers. We feel like we're in a comfortable position with the weight classes. So, okay. So just moving forward, there will be information sent out this week about lunches. This is a state competition, so we'll be providing lunches for athletes and coaches. The cost back to you is $2 per lunch. And that's due to some money that we have in a subsidy account that helps pay for food at state events. So that information will be sent out this week, so you can sign up for lunches. There will be concessions sold throughout the day at the gym, which is great. So if people want to get something to eat in the crowd, they certainly can. The awards will be scheduled, so we will do awards for each particular event after those flights are completed. Now, one of the things that will help us from a time point of view this year is we had a lot less people register for the combination events. You know, in powerlifting, for those that might be new, obviously you can compete in 3 particular events: squat, bench, deadlift. There's also a 2 event combo and a 3 event combo that people can potentially sign up for. We had a lot less people sign up for that this year. So, and I'm not sure why, I'm not sure if that was a mistake, but we're at a point now where we're not accepting any new entries and we're not changing, you know, those events just because of the size of the event and where we're at and us wanting to get this information out to you as soon as possible. So that will save us time in awards, because awarding all of those combination events, you can't do it till the end when everything is done, and you have to tabulate everything, and that takes time. And so there's a lot less of that this year. Let's see here. Parking, just so everybody knows, you can park in the front of the building or you can park in the back. There is parking back there. There's plenty of parking back there. The nice thing is that the neighbor next door, I don't believe they're open on Saturdays, and so that whole front area of that kind of plaza strip mall is open. But if you need to, you can just drive around back, and there's parking back there, and there's plenty of it. So there should be plenty of parking for people. If the weather happens to be nice that day, we may pop open a door, and maybe even have the athletes, you know, walk through the back to get back to that curtain. We'll see. It's in December. It's unlikely that it will be nice enough for that. But if it, you know, we get lucky and it's a really nice day, we may do something like that as well. But there should be plenty of room to park. Let's see here. It's a lot of what I wanted to cover. Mike, I know you had a few things that you wanted to mention, so I'll let you go ahead.
There we go. Okay. Hello. They good? Okay. So one thing I want to kind of let everybody know is make sure when we're in the warm-up room, just everybody help everybody when we're warming up. Try to make sure that the athletes that are actually coming up, whatever flight they're in, those are the athletes warming up. I know sometimes we get some athletes that are a little excited and they want to jump in because everybody else is warming up, and they may not be in that next flight. So we don't need to warm them up that early. We will have some people back there that are helping. Again, teams can help each other. That's the way this is going to be a lot smoother. If you have an athlete that doesn't lock their elbow out all the way, or, you know, maybe their knees don't look like they lock out all the way, show a judge that. We'll have, again, at the coaches meeting, that's the time to probably do that, because the refs will be involved in that probably as well. But just show them what a lockout looks if you have a lifter that doesn't quite extend all the way. That's hard for them to see, and they don't know the athlete as well as you guys do. So if you need a lift off, they can help you lift off. I can help lift off athletes. It doesn't matter. Just let me know. And then if you can, just let them know how they want it lifted out to them. So, you know, it's important to kind of figure out where I want to keep everything as normal and as close to what they're doing as possible. So if they like the bar out a certain way, then I'd like to see where that is so I don't mess them up, because it can throw them off balance. So I just want to make sure that they're doing everything that they have been doing when they've been training. Try to keep everything as normal as possible, as the same as it can be, so they're successful. Let's see. I know we do have a wheelchair athlete. I don't know if that coach is on here. I do want to remind, if that coach is on here, just bring that strap that lifter is used to, because I want everything to be as normal. Like I said, what that lifter is used to is what we need to do. So, and then that team takes the lead in setting that lifter up. So they will set them up, they will strap whatever they're used to. And then as soon as that's done, then the helpers will help. But I want the team to set that lifter up. So I really think that's kind of the big thing is that TV in the back is going to be good. I think it's going to help a lot. We just need to make sure it's on the wall, it's high, so everybody can see it. It's just, if we're warming up for bench, don't get right up on the TV. Try to keep those athletes back a little bit so the people can still bench, you know, as they're warming up. It's a big enough TV that everybody should be able to see it. So, but I think that'll make a huge difference. And then again, just if you need help with something, the people that are helping are lifters. They know what they're doing. I can help. There'll be a lot of people. So I just want everybody to help everybody, because that's the way this sport's kind of made. It makes it a lot more successful if just everybody's helping everybody. So I really think that's all I have. I think it's big. I definitely think it's going to grow even bigger. But I think if we can help each other, it will be a long day. It probably, I would think the squats may be 2 flights, and then the bench and the dead might be 3 flights. So we're not having athletes wait so long. The one thing I don't want to do is, and again, we just got to figure out what works, but warming them up and then having them sit too long. So we're trying to think of the safety of the athletes too. Just, what can we do to be the safest as possible? So, other than that, I don't really think there's much to it. It's just, let's try to help everybody and see how we can get through this the best way possible.
Hey, Mike, this is Barb.
Uh-huh.
Do you think maybe going through the commands for our first time participants, coaches and things would be a good idea today, so that they can start working on that in practices?
Sure. Yeah, we definitely do that. And I'll go through those real quick. They are judges through the UPA, IPF. There are a lot of different officials. IPF does, so they have a couple, each federation has a couple different commands. They're the same, but some may not give you the start command. So I will do what the IPF does. So, and then again, at the coaches meeting, we'll just listen to what the judges are going to do. The big thing is just getting through with the officials we have. I think last year they followed that rule. So if we start with squats, I want coaches to set up their lifters. If they can set themselves up, great. If not, get in, make sure they're centered, go through it real quick with them as they're up there. And then once they're set, then just kind of back off the stage. The spotters will come in, but the lifter will get off the bar, step back. So work on how far they need to step back. Don't waste a lot of steps backwards. Just take enough to get away from the rack. Could be a half step, 1.5 step, but just take smaller steps back so you're away from the rack. When they stand upright, they'll be totally locked at the knees, totally upright. What I do is I don't have the lifters look up until they're set. So I have them check their feet, check their balance, and then look up. And sometimes that gives the signal to the ref that they're ready. The judge should say, start. They will not tell them to go up. But as a coach, you can. So a lot of times I'll just say down, 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 and then I'll say up when they hit that parallel. So they're going to get the start command, and then once they go down, come back up. They need to stop, show that they're totally locked out, and then they'll say rack. Those are the lifts. That's for squat. The spotters can help them in after they get that rack command. That's when the lift is over. All right. So on the bench, again, same thing. If you're used to setting them up, please set up your athlete. Try not, I hate when it kind of sucks when somebody does a lift and they're off centered and then they waste the lift and they got to go back and do that one. So they only get 3 of these. So set them up if you can. If you lift them off, that's fine. If you want somebody else to lift them off, some athletes like to lift off themselves. That's fine. So when they get the bar off the rack or when the lifter gets it off, they need to show it's locked out. The ref will say start. That starts, they can start lowering the bar. When that bar hits the chest and stops, it has to stop. It can't sink in. If it keeps sinking in, they're not going to get that press signal until it stops. So when the bar touches and pauses, then that ref will say press. Then they'll lock out. When they show that they're totally locked out, he'll say rack. As soon as the rack command, that means the lift is over. The spotters can help with the bar in. It's important to say too, with those lifts, if the lifter cannot get those, if they miss, please let them know to stay with the bar. Don't let the bar go. I've seen lifters just let go, and you're going to put these spotters in a very bad situation. I've seen people tear biceps and they can get hurt, and it's not safe for the lifter as well, because that bar's, you're letting go of something that's pretty heavy. So please have them stay with the bar until it's racked. Deadlift, pretty similar. The big one on dead is, again, try to set them up. There's not, you're not really going to set up their hands. You can just tell them kind of left, right, you know, center yourself, whatever works. And again, you're just going to be off to the side. When they start pulling, they need to finish. They can't pull, then stop and regrip it and then pull again. That usually is going to be red lights. So once they start that pull, the ref will have his hand up and he'll keep it up until it's totally locked out. And then he'll say down. That's the only command. So, and they can start when the bar is loaded. They can start when they're ready. I will tell you this. Sometimes we get our lifters that are in a hurry. Slow them down a little. I mean, if the bar is set, they just loaded and they say bar is ready, they don't have to run up there and act like they only have 5 seconds to do the lift. Just get them to a normal speed to kind of walk through the steps of it, make sure they're set up right. And again, they can pull when they're ready, but once they start, don't stop. And if that bar goes down at all, then the lift is over. You can't go down and then come back up. So, and again, the ref's hand will be up. When it's totally, they feel they're locked out, they're telling them down, and that's it. That's the command. So any questions on those? Nope.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep, no problem. And like I said, if any of you coaches want me to help you lift off, I've lifted off plenty of people. All I want to do is just let me know where they want that bar. I want to do everything as normal. I don't want to change something because it will throw a lifter off. So if I can keep it as normal as they can, what they're used to, that's what we want to do. So that's about it.
Thanks, Mike. That's very helpful. All right. Any other questions that anybody has for Mike or for me? Any comments, thoughts? Floor is open, so please let us know.
Nate, I'm going to be the one to say that when our powerlifting coach sent the entries in, she didn't realize she had to do the combos separately. If there's no way to add them, I understand that. But everyone on there should have been in a combo lift, and she didn't realize that needed to be added separately.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, right now, my thought is that we won't add anyone for that, just for the, just because of time. But if, we change our mind on that, we'll be sure to let all of you know. The hard thing is that if we open it up to one team, then we'll have to open it up to everyone. And the next thing you know, we have 50 more awards going on that day. And again, those are always at the end of the day, and it adds time. So, I mean, the nice thing about powerlifting is that if they're doing 3 events, then they're eligible to receive awards for 3 events. If they're doing 2, they're eligible to receive awards for 2. So in most of our sports and most of our competitions, we don't get more than 3 events. So powerlifting is a little unique in that, you can get 4 medals. But yeah, for whatever reason, we did see a lot less this year. It was probably just maybe due to some new folks. All right. What other questions do people have? Okay. Well, if you don't have any other questions, just want to say thank you for your time. I'll hang around for a little bit in case anybody does. We will send out a follow-up email with this call. We recorded it. And then there'll be some more information coming out. Like I said, the lunch information will be sent out this week. Once the divisioning is complete, they will provide that information to everyone. I will be in touch with each individual delegation to discuss your weigh-in time. So we'll make sure we get that scheduled. Like I said, it'll be 20-minute increments between 5 and 8 p.m. on that Friday. We'll do the out-of-town teams closer to 8 and the in-town teams closer to 5. The facility is Big Iron Gym. It's off about 135th and Giles Road for anybody that has not been there. Tina and Justin Redding are the owners, and they help put on our event. They're really nice people, so make sure when you have an opportunity to meet them, say thank you. Let them know how much we appreciate use of their gym. They have a competition that they're putting on this weekend. We have some athletes that are competing on Sunday. If anybody wanted to go check it out and just kind of get a feel for what a powerlifting competition looks like, they have events there at different times during the year, and they just happen to have one this coming weekend. And I don't know how many of our athletes are competing, Mike. About less than 10, right?
Yeah, I believe there's 9. I think, and what I told everybody, we weren't going to do it. We were kind of using it as just a warm up to get people kind of the jitters out. I mean, we got a couple that are new to it. And again, it's just kind of a warm up. We're not going to go to the absolute max with them because we want to save that for December. So, you know, hopefully that, and we try to do stuff too to support the gym because they do a lot for us too. So, I mean, it's going to be good. I think I believe there's 8 or 9 people.
So if anybody's interested, that'll be on Sunday this week. If you wanted to check it out, the volunteers and the officials, like Mike said, you know, they're very knowledgeable in the sport of powerlifting. And, you know, so when we're there that day, say thank you, let them know how much we appreciate having them. We wouldn't be able to do an event like this without people like that helping us out. So I think if we get off to a good start Friday night, we're ready to go Saturday morning, we can have a great day, and just need everybody's help and just keeping that flow you know, throughout the day, and just keeping the athletes where they need to be and when they need to be there. So myself, I'll be there for the competition. Dave Demian will be there. Taylor Hill will be there. And then Dylan Sungraf. Those will be the Sony staff on duty that day. And so we're excited, and, you know, really, you know, just love watching our athletes compete. And it's great to see the growth, and hope that it continues. So thank you guys for your patience, your understanding, and flexibility as we work through all these details. Thank you for coaching, and, you know, good luck as you prepare. Please call if you have questions. Let us know if you need anything. Mike's a great resource for coaches. If you have, you know, any questions related to practice or training, or just, you know, like you talked about the commands, any of those kind of things, Mike's a great resource for that, as are some of our other coaches here, like Barb, who've been doing this for years and years. So I'll stick around for a few minutes if anybody has any questions, but thanks for your time. Have a great evening.
Thanks.